everybody. So I'm Virginia, and this is also a smaller version of a talk that I'm doing. This is like the donut hole version. So if you want the whole version, you have to come see me at AltConf during WWDC week in San Francisco, and I would love to see folks there, because I think that'll be an even more fun version of the same thing. But today, I'm going to tell you why I quit my cool indie entrepreneur job, and why I took a stodgy corporate day job, and why some of you might actually end up wanting to follow my footsteps, because you might realize that your cool job is actually making the world kind of garbage, and that's bad, and we don't want that. And we are, speaking of garbage, we're also going to talk about how online dating has become kind of a hot garbage fire, and why that contributed to this life decision. So that's my corporate headshot. It's fine. It's a good picture, good hair day, fake smile, doesn't matter. But this is what my old headshot used to be like. And it was a lot more playful and fun, right? She's laughing, so am I. I mean, we're all having a great time. This is a personality-filled picture, and it kind of is emblematic of how people reacted when I told them I was an online dating coach. They would be like, "Oh my God, that's so interesting. You must have so many great stories." Sometimes they were also like, doesn't that just mean that you get chopped up and put in a dumpster? And I would say, no, I'd kind of explain to them that that's only if you do things poorly and you don't, But, people were like, "Oh, my sister met her husband on Match. Oh, yay, I love Tinder." And nobody says that, but, people were very enthusiastic about online dating in general. And so, it got a lot of play, right? I was the life of the party when I said, "Ooh, I'm an online dating coach." But online dating changed a lot in the decade that I was working, helping people kind of figure that out. And so in the beginning, it was a less crowded space, and it got a lot more convenient, it got more socially acceptable, and that changed kind of the interaction model, right? You guys can hear me okay, right? My own voice, okay. So it really took a turn, right? The industry itself shifted, and my way of interacting with customers, helping them with it, shifted along with that. So I'm going to kind of walk you through a journey emblematic of that shift. I got an email a couple months ago with this subject line, "Is everything okay, Virginia?" I was like, "Oh shit, I don't know, is it?" It sounds urgent, right? Did something bad happen? It worked. This was a panic email, and so I clicked. It was about makeup. I had bought some concealer, and I had not bought any more concealer during a 2-week period. And this concealer has a shelf life of 5 years, but that's 5. But they thought that they wanted to just check up, since I hadn't bought any more, and see if everything was okay, right? That is not true. That is not what they were really doing, right? That's bullshit. They were deliberately trying to trick and manipulate me into thinking that their email was more important than it actually was, and more worthy of my time and attention than perhaps it actually, I mean, it's good concealer, but than it actually was, because they know that there's a lot of time and attention demands on me in my inbox, right? I get a lot of email, and they know that they needed to fake me out into thinking that they were important and worth clicking on. And it worked. I clicked. And this kind of thing happens all the time now, right? We see the banner ads on websites that used to just be a picture, and now it's an auto-playing video yelling at you, taking up your whole phone screen. You probably get more texts from your friends these days and less emails, right? Fewer. You probably get, a little more Snapchat, a little less live journal in your life. Things have changed since the smartphones came along. And smartphones really changed online dating too, right? When people sat down at computers to do online dating, that was a little different. In ways it was better, in ways it was worse, but it was different. And now that online dating is on the smartphones, really, really, really shifted how people did online dating and how they tried to meet each other and connect. So little case in point, this is the Craigslist ad by which I met my husband back in 2006. It really, so all words, observe, no pictures. You don't need to read them, but there's even more words that are not pictured, but very, very different than today's Tinder profiles. And I mean, that's not to say that you couldn't okay, just going back for a minute, not all dating profiles were like this, right? This is an ad, not a profile, but lots of people wrote long profiles on Match.com, on OkCupid, on sites that don't exist anymore. And now you get one picture and not that many words, right? You can shunt in a few more words if you're a Tinder power user and you know how to put your university and your job title, but you don't get a lot of opportunities to talk in how you kind of pitch yourself. You just get a picture. And that is a very different user experience, right? And as online dating got more and more popular and crowded and convenient and whatever, it just really changed how it worked. There are people just kind of like talking past each other, at each other. The messages got shorter and worse and like more frequent, but like replies got less frequent. It became kind of a mess. I was observing this, right? In my clientele, people were having trouble figuring out how to connect and how to like capture each other's attention to actually make a positive connection and go on a date that didn't suck, right? Like that became different. Maybe harder, maybe easier, depending on your perspective, but different than it used to be. And that led to some interesting evolutions in how people tried to capture your attention in online dating. So this is a real thing. This is a real headline. I didn't make it up in a real paper. I'm going to give you a little backstory. It was a common thing, particularly in New York City, but in a lot of, like, I don't know, blue state kind of cities, where you would see mostly straight men with pictures of tigers on Tinder. It was like a scourge, okay? And it was because these people would do like fun, adventuresome travel. You'd like go to Thailand, do the tourist trap thing where you can like pay to get a picture taken with you holding a tiger cub. Cool, cute, awesome, raw, yay. And it was also like a way to signify, look how dateable I am. Look at this great job that I have that pays me a good salary with good vacation where I go take some worldly trip. Look how down to earth I am because when I travel, I'm not just staying in like a 5-star. Like, look at this cool stuff. Look how interesting I am. Look how much you want to connect with me. Because the only opportunity I have to convince you of that is this picture, right? So then people started finding interesting ways to shortcut to that sort of picture. There would be like shady petting zoos in the Bronx or like traveling circus things where people would be paying to pet like drugged tigers that New York considered a public health issue because, you know, they could maul ya. And it was just like a way for guys to get to the shorthand of, look how interesting and dateable I am. I have convinced you of this with one image without even necessarily having the arguable like things to back it up that the original crop of Tinder tiger people had, right? And this is not all straight men. I speak in generalities, even though I hate doing that because it does kind of make sense with online dating, but this was like a real phenomenon, and there are all sorts of similar specific phenomenon. The straight Levy one was like riding a camel. That was like a thing that you just see that in every OkCupid profile, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that that was code for like, I'm interesting, date me. It's bizarre. So there are other stratagems that evolved in this new model of online dating. This one comes from a subreddit full of pickup artist tips where guys are like, oh, I know, I never get any replies from the women that I want to date, but if I make up an emoji game of Connect Four or Tic-Tac-Toe, make them play it with me, and if they lose, they have to give me their number. If they win, I like buy them dinner. But either way, I've convinced them that it is worth replying to me when otherwise, you know, my uncreative, boring message might not have like gotten through the noise, right? Like this is a stratagem that evolved. And it makes you seem creative and original and different from all the other people that are like, sup, wanna bang, whatever, on Tinder, right? I mean, people say other things, but you know, like it stands out, right? And of course, it's not actually creative or original because you cribbed it from a pickup artist thread on Reddit, but it makes you seem original in the same way that like maybe a tiger makes you seem adventuresome and interesting, right? So the whole time that I am like teaching people how to have better results in online dating, this experience changes a lot for me because in the beginning, I was teaching people how to like tap into writing well about themselves, and instead of just being like, I want someone tall or like I like long walks on the beach, I was really helping them learn how to like communicate and put a part of their soul out there and be vulnerable and connect with somebody who picked up on that and was like, I really like the humanity that you have expressed. It jives with my humanity. Let's connect like real humans. Like that sort of stopped being what I was teaching people to do. You know, it's hard to compete with like tic-tac-toe and tigers, so I was kind of teaching people how to like have that perfectly calibrated, optimized impression to grab your attention in a split moment, right? And it's like I'm helping people come up with the one perfect picture for Tinder where you look hot, but not too hot, because not slutty, but a little slutty, but not too, like, so exhausting to have to worry about towing this line. And with other people, I'm helping them come out with like an outreach message that scales to messaging 300 women, although you don't want it to seem like you're scaling a message to spam at 300 women. So you have to make it the perfect amount of like subtle and quirky and I realized, like, not only am I basically helping people write the Tinder equivalent of like bad email subject lines, right? But I'm helping myself to become like an untrained therapist managing the anxiety that came out of people's like, oh my gosh, all these push notifications for Tinder, like I feel overwhelmed, or oh my gosh, crippling rejection, I can never get through to anybody unless I use an emoji stratagem, whatever. I was basically helping everybody figure out how to become like a poor, optimized hack version of themselves to try to get results. And I was actively playing into a garbage ecosystem and feeding the garbage algorithm more garbage code that made everybody behave in a way that wasn't really what I wanted to emulate, and it felt duplicitous and manipulative and dangerously close to like the creepy, like, there's a whole category of people that you can hire to like swipe on Tinder for you and make dates for you, and that was not ever what I did, but it's like, I didn't want to even dance near that, right? And I felt like what I was doing was dancing uncomfortably close to that. I felt like I was part of the problem. And by the way, I think that's the first legitimate use of the chart emoji ever, so you're welcome. So I took a day job, I sold out, and I got a day job at Microsoft. And I actually really love it, and it lets me do a bunch of great volunteer work helping solve the hot garbage fire that is the tech industry's diversity problem. So if you want to hear the big version of that talk, you got to come see me at AllComp, so I would love that. But anyway, I am a program manager now in Windows Server and System Center, which is not as sexy sounding at a party as like, hello, I'm an online dating coach. Oh, wow, that's so amazing. Like, I make data center stuff easier for like IT admins. But I'm pretty cool with that, particularly because of all the volunteer stuff, but also because I don't feel like I'm actively making the world worse with the job that I do day to day, and that feels really important to me. What do you know? So just quick little takeaway, thank you. Yeah, we're almost there. Quick little takeaways is basically, like, I don't think that a corporate stoogey job is necessarily a bad thing, right? There's a lot of value to be had in some of those corporate jobs, and I talk more about that in the other talk too. I also think that like a hot, sexy, cool sounding job is not always a good thing, right? There's no like does not necessarily equal, which is what I was looking for. Like if you have a job that seems amazing, it isn't always, right? And I think it really merits closely thinking about like, who do I impact with the work that I do? What are the effects beyond just me, beyond just my immediate customers? Like, what are the ecosystems that I'm affecting? Am I putting small businesses out by selling Groupons and making them price everything too low? Am I like filling landfills full of cardboard with like, you know, grocery deliveries? Like, what is the thing that could be a ripple effect of this work that I'm doing? Like, am I just a programmer building a cool service that's convenient, or am I making something worse? Because when we wake up and realize that we're making something worse and that we're part of the problem that we're trying to solve, that really sucks. And I feel like we're all in a privileged enough position at this like cool donut-laden tech talk to be able to actually make some kind of pivot if we come to that realization. And there's a lot of opportunities for us to do that. So I encourage everybody to ponder the hot, sexy job and make sure that you're not hurting anyone that you didn't mean to. So thank you very much.